completing my videos about small details and hidden Easter eggs in Harry Potter. Today's video will be about the Deathly Hallows, so let's get into it. When the trio left the Lovegood's house, they were chased by Snatters. Hermione used a spell on Harry to change his facial features. If you look closely, you can see that Hermione took Harry's glasses and hid them in her pocket. When the trio got onto Malfoy Manor, Hermione had no chance to give Harry his glasses back, as you can all see. Then she was captured by Bellatrix, and Harry and Ron were taken to the cellar by Peter. In this scene, you can see that Harry got his own glasses and put them on, while Hermione was still upstairs, and there is no way he could have gotten them by himself. This one is really obvious. We all know that Harry and his mother in the book share the same eye color, which is green. But in the movies, Daniel Radcliffe couldn't wear eye contact, so he remained with his blue eyes instead. So Harry was told that he has his mother's eyes multiple times in the movies. But when the time comes for young Lily to reveal herself in Snape's memories, we can clearly see that Lily's eyes are brown instead of blue or even green. In this scene, when Harry and Hermione were sitting on a rock, there was a second book on Hermione's left side closed, but in the next shot you can clearly see that the book is open now by itself. When Dobby and Kreacher brought Mundungus Flitter to Harry, as Dobby first emerged while holding to the man's leg, there is a different type of objects on the table than the next shot when the man is fully seen being attacked by Kreacher and Dobby. In the Order of Phoenix, Aunt Petunia revealed she knew what the Dementors are. How did she know? When asked, Petunia says, "I heard the Awful Boy telling her about them years ago." The Awful Boy was Severus Snape. Petunia referenced her meeting with Snape since Order of Phoenix, but it wasn't until we got to see Snape memory that we realized this in the Deathly Hallows. When Voldemort realized that the wand is not working for him, Snape then showed up when asked. If you look closely, you can see a Gryffindor scrap hanging in the background. Now this proves that although Snape was Slytherin, he had one of the Gryffindor colors, bravery. Snape knew that he wasn't the true owner of the wand, but he refused to help Voldemort and telling him anything that would make him stronger. He sacrificed his own life just for Dumbledore's plan.
You've been a good and faithful servant, Severus. But only I can live forever.
During the Battle of Hogwarts, giants were using something that looked like a ring as a weapon. If you can take a guess what the giant holding is, the goal post of the Quidditch pitch. Also in the battle, the guy who was leading students using broomsticks to the war was Oliver Wood, coming back to Hogwarts to fight and defend his school. After the Battle of the Department of Mysteries, Lucius Malfoy was sent to Azkaban. Unfortunately, this scene never made it to the movies, but in the Deathly Hallows you can see Lucius' Azkaban prison number on his neck. When Harry announced that he was still alive, it was a moment when George turned to his side in search for his brother. The pain on his face as he realized that his twin was no longer there. The twins were always together and it's hard to see them apart. Fred was always on his brother's side whenever something happens, but this time he wasn't.
You okay, Freddy? Yeah. Me too.
When the main characters were heading out to fight the Death Eaters, Slughorn can barely be seen in the background of the scene, taking a drink from a bottle. Of course it has to be nothing but the liquid luck, and it did work as Slughorn survived unharmed after the battle. When McGonagall was dueling Snape, he blocked her spells without firing a single one in return. But that wasn't all. Snape deflected one of her spells to the Kara's Death Eaters, and even managed to take their wands from them before fleeing away from the castle. Harry and Neville in the Battle of Hogwarts were wearing the same clothes their fathers wore back in the day during the Second Wizarding War. Speaking of the Deathly Hallows themselves, the movies also made a point of flashing its sign during scenes as well.
Together they make the Deathly Hallows. Together they make one Master of Death.
For example, in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, long before we'd ever find out about the Peverell siblings' story, Dumbledore gazes upon his collection of artifacts in his office, and they're arranged in such a way as to give a wink to the triangle circle line symbol that would represent the Cloak of Invisibility, the Resurrection Stone, and the Elder Wand later on in the story. Hermione's hair grows throughout the Deathly Hallows Part 1 to show how long she, Ron and Harry have been traveling in search for Horcruxes. At the end of the movie, Draco was seen in the platform 9 3/4 with his wife. While there aren't any details about who she is as a character, the person who played her just so happened to be Felton's real-life girlfriend at the time.
Oh look, Potter, you got yourself a girlfriend.
Where the trio was chased by the fire in the Room of Requirement, if you took a look at the background, you will see many familiar props, things from the past movies such as the knight from the chess game of the trio's first year. This is an amazing detail that many fans miss out on when watching the Deathly Hallows Part 2. When Harry, Ron and Hermione are running through the castle in order to get to Snape, and they actually encounter every single movie along the way. First, they are attacked by a giant, Nod to the Troll and the Philosopher's Stone. Then giant spiders, the Chamber of Secrets. Then a werewolf, the Prisoner of Azkaban. Then a dead Lavender Brown, the Goblet of Fire. Then they are attacked by Dementors, the Order of Phoenix, until finally reaching Snape, the Half-Blood Prince.
I'm the Half-Blood Prince.
The fake name that Hermione gives to the Snatter is actually the name of Percy's girlfriend in the books. If you go back and watch each scene featuring both Bellatrix and Voldemort, you notice that Bellatrix always moves to stand on Voldemort's right hand side. This is typically the position that most loyal and trusted followers take. Severus Snape has a pretty complex love-hate relationship with Harry. You find out what later on in this film, when we see Snape memories via the Pensieve. But for the first 7 movies, he always refers to him as Potter or Mr. Potter. But in his last scene in the book, as he lies dying, he addresses Harry by his first name, for the only time before telling him that he has his mother's eyes.
You have your mother's eyes.
J.K. Rowling actually told Snape, actor Alan Rickman, all about his character's history, years before the final movie was ever shot. In January 2016, 4 days after Rickman's death, Rowling explained that she told Rickman about the meaning behind the word always. There was one small deleted scene that was filmed but never made the final cut that drastically changes Draco Malfoy's character. Malfoy rejoins Voldemort's side when Voldemort returns to Hogwarts with Harry's dead body. However, in a deleted scene, Malfoy switches sides, again when Harry reveals himself as still alive. Malfoy rushes forward and throws Harry his wand, shouting Potter as he does so.
Burn! Potter! Confringo!
Take cover.
In the books, Voldemort kills Snape in the Shrieking Shack, which is a location that actually has a lot of history for Snape. Back in his school days, he followed Remus, Sirius, James and Peter, there in the hopes of getting them into trouble, only to be almost killed by Remus as a werewolf and saved by James. It was meant for Snape to die in the Shrieking Shack, as he did in the final book. Dumbledore is a wise and complicated character. His office is full of details and things you might not have noticed before. In the Chamber of Secrets, when Harry was asked by him the password into his office is sherbet lemon. When you hear it the first time, it sounds like it's just 2 random words used as password, but in reality it was Dumbledore's favorite candy, and is referenced again later in this scene during the Deathly Hallows Part 2 if you haven't noticed. If you want to see all the videos I've made about small details and hidden Easter eggs, check this playlist over here. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.